welcome back to another episode of the Sip and Grow with Wiki podcast. And as you know, on this podcast, we talk about all things sobriety, inspiration, influence, personal and professional growth. And today with me, I've got Yasmin Spark. Yasmin Spark is the founder of Align Events. And Align Events is the UK's first non-alcoholic, fully vegan bar. Like, how cool is that? Thank you so much, Yasmin. Thank you for coming. Honestly, I know it's taken us a while to get here, but I really appreciate you coming all the way. I'm not going to say how far you've traveled, but yeah, thank you so much for making this finally.
Thank you so much for having me, Vicky. It's great to be here.
So tell our audience, about Align Events, what you do and what's the inspiration.
So Align Events is a non-alcoholic mobile cocktail service. So we make non-alcoholic cocktails. We also have a spin of non-alcoholic champagnes and wines that we supply to clients. And really, it came about when I was at a spa for my birthday with my mum, and they brought out 2 mimosas. And I don't drink, and I haven't drunk for 7 years. And so my mum had a great time. She was drinking both the mimosas, like whoop whoop. Aww. And I said, well, what is there for me? And there was nothing. And it was a nice place. I wanted to feel special. So I was like, right, let me just do this myself.
Yeah.
And the business was born.
Oh, that's amazing. I think, to be fair, and I'm sure, we do similar things, right? We both have a non-alcoholic drink business, but obviously the expressions of it is in different forms, and probably our client base and things. But I think hearing other people's stories in my journey of, starting and trying to build a business around these non-alcoholic, drinks, I found that a lot of people started because of a personal frustration or personal need, right? So it's interesting to hear that it's kind of like your personal experience and then becoming the solution, because oftentimes we go about complaining about what's not available to us or what's not there. But then why can't we shift our mentality to be the solution provider rather than being the problem to be solved? So thank you for being a solution provider.
And you too. Thank you.
Yeah. I know you are a brand ambassador for Alcohol Change UK. Tell us a bit more about what you do and, how you represent them and just, what you do in that kind of space.
Sure. So Alcohol Change UK are the UK's largest charity which support mindful drinking and alcohol recovery. And I got involved in them because when I first went sober, I was looking for resources to just find out a bit more about, where I could go to get support online and offline, and if there were any sort of community members that were like me. I think it's quite hard to be like a sober black woman sometimes, or a non-drinking black woman. So you're trying to find your crew. And at that time, we're talking like 2016, 2017, really Alcohol Change UK were the only charity that were doing that work, as well as really important policy work, like lobbying the government for alcohol tax change, and doing amazing research as well on the effect of alcohol on the body. And so I just thought, this is such an amazing charity, and I really want to be part of it, and I really want to give back when I started the business. So I thought, they've helped me, I want to help other people through them. So 6% of the profit from all booked events for Align Events goes directly to Alcohol Change UK. And then we also throughout the year run a couple of fundraisers, and I go out and speak with people. Basically whatever Alcohol Change want me to do, like I'm there, I'm repping the t-shirt all the time.
Oh, that's interesting. And I think, I thank you for that mindset of, giving back, because, you've been a beneficiary of what they do, and very kind of you to be able to give back through them. Are there any other channels or avenues where you've committed to giving back and to people? It could even just be like through your speaking or just anything else that you do.
I think it's really important to be able to get out and educate people. So what's been really lovely is I've been doing a couple of talks at universities with their events students, because it's not just, right, being a woman in business, a woman of colour in business, and in the no-low industry. We are like the 0.000%. And so I think it's really important for us to get out there and inspire the youth. And that's why I love doing these university talks, because when you see other like girls that are going to turn into women and run their own businesses, you want to help nurture and support that.
Yeah. And for the interest of some of our guests or listeners, in the interest of some of our listeners who don't understand what no-low means, it's basically non-alcoholic. Because,
sorry,
trust me,
jargon, industry jargon.
There's a lot of industry in every industry, you know. I work in finance, and I know we have a lot of jargon that when we're speaking to each other, we assume everybody understands. So I try to clarify where I can. No means basically non-alcoholic, and then low is low alcohol drinks. So yeah, and I guess for the most part, the industry is kind of tied together, because a lot of people were looking to cut down alcohol for health reasons, for lifestyle reasons, for any reason, oftentimes start by cutting down and then hopefully getting off it completely. So yeah, it's an industry that I guess goes hand in hand together. I know you did some podcast recording for Club Soda for Black History Month. So tell us a bit about that. How did that come about?
So I was at a trade show with Laura Willoughby. I think we have to call her OBE now, one of the founders of Club Soda. And I just loved what they do. And obviously, you know, they have opened their shop in Covent Garden, but this was before the opening of the shop. They were still online. And I just said, look, I love what you do. I want to get involved. And also there's no representation, you know, anywhere in the no and low alcohol space of people of colour, specifically Black people. And she was like, okay, well, do you want to do a podcast? And I said...
And women, actually.
Yeah, it's like, it's just us. No, there is a Tolani. She's the producer of Chapman's. She's really amazing young lady. And so there's three of us.
Yeah, I'm sure that we are aware of. Yeah. There's not a lot of us.
So so that was the impetus behind the podcast. And Laura said, yeah, fine, absolutely. Go for it.
Aww.
But you know, I had never done a podcast. This is a very glamorous setup. My setup was not like this. It was my bedroom on Zoom on the computer at like 10 p.m.
Well, you were reaching the world. You know, let's think about the big picture here. You were reaching the whole world. How was that experience for you?
It was amazing. I got to meet so many amazing people and hear stories of and not just sobriety, but the many reasons that people don't drink. So had a really interesting talk with the founder of a Muslima media agency in Dubai, and she was saying how when she worked in London in marketing and PR, she was excluded from all kinds of opportunities because, you know, Friday at 4 p.m, everyone would be getting out the champagne and then saying, let's go to the bar. And she was like, no, I can't do that. And so she moved to Dubai and she's flourishing. So it's very interesting, the dynamics in our society that are so dependent on alcohol, but maybe like not overtly.
Yeah, true. And I think Dubai is definitely one of those markets, the Middle East as a whole, to look out for in terms of the growth. And I was in Dubai, was it last year or 2 years ago? Well, I can't remember exactly. And it was interesting, at the hotel where we stayed, there was a UK brand. I can't remember the name for the life of me right now, but I was quite excited because it was a non-alcoholic drink that I saw that at, you know, the hotel. I was like, wow, this is really good. And I know there's a lady I follow, or a brand called Dry Drinkers. I don't know if you follow them on LinkedIn. Yeah. And I like what they're doing in the sense that they're bringing together basically all these brands and making them available in the Middle East.
I love that.
You know, and I think that's quite an interesting shift in the market. And generally, what do you feel the perception of sobriety, not drinking, what's been your experience so far in terms of the perception generally?
In this country?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's changed. It's changing for the better.
Yeah.
You know, even 4 years ago, it was like non-drinkers were looked at as, you know, we're boring. we are some sort of in recovery and we can't ever be in a bar or you can't talk about alcohol with us. Or so there was a kind of societal stigma. But now, especially I think with the pandemic, it forced everybody to focus on their health and their wellness, and alcohol is not beneficial to that. And when you're stuck in your house and then you're like, wow, I've been drinking a lot, I think people just were like, it's time to...
I like the emphasis, like, not beneficial.
Because people think it is, right? But it's a depressant. It's a scientifically proven depressant.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the tide is turning.
Let me pick you up on that not beneficial, right? Now, I know by the books there are many sort of, well, it depends on how you want to sell this, right? Some companies that obviously, sell red wine and things, they promote and market the benefits of alcohol. Yeah. So in your honest view, what are the benefits of alcohol, if there's any? No, let's be honest here. If there's any, no, I'm not someone that's like, oh no, there's no single benefit. If there's any, what are the benefits of alcohol that you know or that you agree or admit? And then what are the cons, essentially the pros and cons of alcohol consumption? Okay,
so red wine, let's just take red wine, right? Because we all know apparently if you drink half a glass of red wine every night, it's good for your health. It reduces I think stroke or something.
The risk,
the risk of stroke. So fine, let's say that's true. Okay,
let's say, but you don't.
I don't believe it. But let's say that's true.
I'm playing devil's advocate here. Not that I have my perception, honestly, but I'm not going to air that yet. But yeah, carry on.
And then you drank half a glass of wine every single night, 7 days a week. Mm-hmm. So that's one bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Well, you don't know, you will know how many calories are in that wine, the dehydrating effects of that wine, the depressant effect of that wine. It's still happening in that half a glass. So might not be, a huge effect straight away, but it
cumulative,
can, cumulative effect. And then also the way I think about it is like, do I want to go to bed even slightly like less hydrated or slightly like less on top of my game than I could be without it?
Yeah.
Especially like in the world we live in today, like you've got to always be on point. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay. I don't know. So that's like a pro, supposedly. And then what are the cons of alcohol consumption? I feel like
so the cons are the dehydration and the woolly headedness and just not being the best that you can be.
Okay. Now, I'd say my view on the red wine narrative is there is a compound in red wine, and that's what the people who are promoting it, or a particular thing in red wine, that's what they're using to say, oh, well, it's healthy for you. However, you can actually get this, it's called, correct me, I'll find the right word, but I think it's called resveratrol or something like that.
Yes.
You can actually get it as a supplement. So if you're so keen on getting, and that way, because it's an extract of that particular compound, then you can still get the benefits without taking the alcohol.
Wow.
And alcohol, we know, and this is like facts of life, we know has an impact on our health directly. Mm-hmm. I think, as a matter of fact, I know some people go as far as calling it poison to our bloodstream.
Yeah.
And the effect on the liver. Now, whether or not we agree, there's so many things that affect our health, and including sugar. So I wouldn't shy away from that. And I'm always preaching, yes, I like sweet things, but I think it's important that, if I'm not drinking, I shouldn't also be getting high on sugar.
Yeah, I hear you. Oh my gosh, I hear you.
It's like you're defeating the purpose, right? If your liver is not processing all this alcohol, it's not having to do all this hard work. Then if you're putting on like a ridiculous amount of sugar, then it defeats the purpose. So that is to say that I think the message here is wellness, looking after yourself as much as you can. So I think I'll stop my preaching there.
You're preaching to the choir, like I'm here for it.
Yeah, and in I guess moving on from the topic of alcohol, now your bar is non-alcoholic, it's fully vegan.
Yes.
And I think that is interesting. Now, subconsciously, maybe what I do, but I don't say, oh, I'm fully vegan. I'm not even vegan to start with. So to find a drinks company that is non-alcoholic and fully vegan, I'm like, wow, this is interesting. And I'm like, okay, probably you're doing this to be more inclusive and making sure that anyone, whether they're vegan or not, are able to have your drinks and not, feel excluded potentially. But yeah, tell us more about, sort of the vegan ingredients that you have, the flavors, and what kind of like just inspired your interest in making sure that your bar is not just non-alcoholic, but it's also fully vegan.
I'm fully vegan. So I mean, I wanted to create a product and a bar where I knew that I could drink at. And I also thought, okay, if I make the cocktails all vegan, that means that
It's
there's
easier.
everybody. It's more
Whether you're vegan
inclusive
or
for
not, yeah.
everyone, right? Because if you're not vegan, you can still drink those cocktails, right? But if something's got egg white in, people who can't consume it, they can't drink it.
Yeah.
And that was another thing that was a bit difficult about when I used to drink. But as a vegan, is that a lot of products actually are processed with animal products, and that was quite gross. So
Yeah.
so that's why we're vegan and alcohol free, and a lot of the non-alcoholic products are actually vegan as well.
Anyway,
So
to be fair, because in my experience, even though I haven't tagged my business or what I'm trying to as vegan, I don't actually use egg whites.
Right.
Not because I'm vegan, but just because I feel that if I'm serving to a guest of, 300 guests, there might be someone who's vegan, there might be, and personally, I don't even like the sounds of raw egg in anything.
Yeah, no.
Or around anything.
Oh.
And the world has evolved so much that there are a lot of replacement products that if you're trying to get the foam on your cocktail, you can still get it without having to use egg whites anyway. So anyway, but thanks for sharing that. Talking about the subject of veganism and how the world has evolved, what are your thoughts on genetically created, evolving, modified meats?
Okay, so
What are they called?
Okay. I wouldn't eat them as a vegan because even though the cells were taken from the animal and that animal is fine, I still wouldn't want to consume something that was derived from an animal. But
technically speaking, the argument would be that, well, we're not killing the animal. We're just taking a derivative or something from the animal, a very negligible percentage, right? And we're making something that we presumably feel is better for the environment.
Yeah.
It's greener. There's no greenhouse emissions. There's no grazing. There's
yes. So technically, it may be better for the environment on some level, but then you have to think about the production processes and how much power they're using. So it's just like you can't win. And I also think, look, if you want to eat bacon, then just eat a pig. Come on, let's just eat a pig. And if you don't want to eat bacon, just eat plants like I do.
Interesting. To be fair, I think it's an interesting idea because, the world is, people are creative and there's a lot of, technology backing these processes. But again, personally, I don't think I can get my head around eating something that I know for sure is, I guess, created in a lab off, some algae cells, something, and then is meat. Now, I'll be interested to see what the outcome is because I know there's a lot of investment going into these companies and things. What the price point would be when it gets to the market eventually.
Yes.
Would they be cheaper to eat this genetically modified meat, or are you better off just eating the actual
regular meat?
Yeah. But anyway, until then, we'll have to wait and see. Right. So have you got any questions for me?
I do, Vicky. I know that you run Sip Geek, and so I just wanted to find out your inspiration behind Sip Geek and like how you got started and why you got started.
Yeah. To be fair, my story isn't as much as interesting as yours. And it's, it's not necessarily even from a frustration point. I think it was more from a passion standpoint, really.
I love that.
And I've probably said this story a million times, right? I grew up in a typical Nigerian household, polygamous one. So polygamous simply means when a man has more than one wife. It's not something that's popular on this end of the world. But yeah, that was how I grew up. And as a big family, typically would have people around, and maybe if we're having Christmas or, we're always having some form of large gathering or hosting people one way or another. And then interestingly, or along the line, my dad got into politics in Nigeria, and that also meant that we would always have people around the house, right? So naturally, my mom, to be fair, I think it's a combination of influences, right? The family background, and also my mom studied catering and hotel management.
Wow.
So somehow we'd always just naturally hosted, cook, all of that. And in all of these bits, right, there were times that maybe we might have to make Chapman, or we might have to make Zobo, a Nigerian drink, or we might have to make Kunu. Kunu is also a Nigerian drink made out of millet.
Oh, wow.
So all these drinks that you make, and, when you're hosting people and stuff. And I think it was one of those things whereby I felt like I was more interested in the drinks aspect rather than the food.
Right. Okay.
So I consider myself a lazy cook, right? Now, not that I don't cook, but I don't cook as often as, but when I do cook, I do consider myself a good cook. Now, I use the word I consider myself because I believe I'm a good cook.
I'm sure you are. At least you cook. I don't even cook.
It's just the frequency of it isn't. So I think when I then relocated to the UK for my master's here, I was actually probably still doing my master's and things. And of course, when people would come visit me, I'll end up maybe making something for them.
Yes.
So I also had like interest. To be fair, a lot of my interest actually started from like juicing.
Yes.
When I was pregnant with my first son.
Amazing.
So it was all over the place. And I think it was more people saying, oh, Wiki, have you considered this? And then that also went into like me being in church and hospitality. So I've always been on the side of serving people.
That's it. Yeah.
And I don't mind. Like I enjoy it. Like
I love it.
till this day, like in my events, I'm happy to be at the front and be a waiter at my events. So it doesn't mean, oh, Buki is the business owner, and then no, I would go and take a tray and serve someone, right? And I don't mind. I actually enjoy that. So I think it was a combination of all these things. And yeah, I think that was how it started, really, from church.
I love that. Can I ask you something about that, right? Because
sure.
I feel like we totally align on that level. Like, I really believe that a life in service is like so much more rewarding.
Yeah.
And so do you think that like faith had a large part in like the business and the growth of your business?
Yes, definitely. Yes, definitely. Because, rewind back to, this was me when I was in Leeds, finished my master's, living there. I was serving in hospitality in my church. And my HOD at the time, I was like, hey, sis, like, we've been doing, people are always asking us about these drinks that we make every Sunday. Should we start a business,
Yeah.
And then we had one of our friends who was getting married that year. And I was like, so I'm the one who's always like going to speak to someone like, okay, sis, can we start this business? We're like, oh, yeah. She was happy to support me, And then I'd spoken to this other friend who was getting married. I was like, okay, myself and Big Sis, I'll just call her Big Sis for the purpose of this podcast. We're planning to start this business, what we already do in church, but then we want to serve drinks at your wedding. What do you think about it? And she was like, oh, yeah. So that was like, so it wasn't like we had a business plan. It wasn't like we had a structure.
Yeah.
Nothing. There was zero. So when people were like, oh, there was nothing.
Okay. This is like guerrilla business. I love it.
No, there's nothing. It was just two people who had an interest in starting something. And then me speaking to someone like, okay, let's do your wedding. I was like, oh, yeah, it's fine. And to be honest, that was a big level of trust because this is your wedding, once in a lifetime opportunity. Well, hopefully not a second time or third time. Ideally once in a lifetime. And you're willing to take the risk of these two people from your church coming to make drinks at your wedding. And of course, we got paid for it. Obviously, it wasn't, but yeah, it was a good start. And that was like the beginning of well, it wasn't called Sip Geek at the time, it was called Sip Works, and that was the beginning of the business. And that's pretty much, I'd say the rest is history from there.
I love it. And then you got, I was so excited for you when you got the Double Dutch.
Yeah, shout out to Double Dutch.
Yeah,
definitely.
shout out Double
Thank you,
Dutch.
Double Dutch, once again. And I think...
So we were talking about this. Do you have any kind of advice or just recommendations for people that wanted to get into the industry that we're in? And how did you explain how you got, I don't even know how you got in with Double Dutch. I was like, this girl, she is everywhere. I love it.
I'd say obviously the bartending industry is, or even the hospitality industry is multifaceted, right? There's so many different things you can do.
Yeah.
And I think with anything in life, just do something that you enjoy doing so that even if the going gets tough, you don't feel miserable, oh, why am I even doing this anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you find a lot of people and I'm not a 9 to 5 hours aware, but yeah, I'm a technical 9 to 5, right?
Yeah, we gotta have multiple side hustles out here. Come on.
Now, this is not this, 9 to 5ers, but, a lot of people are doing jobs that they absolutely hate. And I also believe that even if you're doing a job that you absolutely hate, find a medium of expression for yourself, something that you actually love. Yeah. And that's why I'm a proud supporter of, side hustle, maiden hustle, whatever you want to call it, future hustle.
That's it.
As long as it's a hustle that you enjoy doing, start. Don't wait for, and again, people are different and I get that. I've seen people that I'm like, before I start a business, I have to have a business plan, I have to have a cash flow forecast, I have to have all these things, I have to have funding. Those things are great. Yeah. And trust me, you can have the best business plan on paper and it's not going to go anywhere. You can have the best marketing plan on paper if the execution is not right. And I can say that because I have experienced it, right? Obviously, I'm sure I still do because it's a rebrand, it's in recess, the Afria brand, the canned drink product, right? Yeah. Now, I had a marketing plan on paper, but the thing is, and that's why we say that, sometimes we spend so much money on business plan, marketing plan, all of these things. But the question is the execution.
That's it.
And sometimes, if we look at the Sip Geek story and how it all started, it was the execution first.
Yes.
It wasn't the plan.
Same
here. The plan came up along the way. So my advice would be, if you want to do something, just start.
Yeah, I love that.
Now, being a perfectionist myself, I always say, just get out of your head. Because, and I still tell myself, because I overthink it, I overplan it, and then I'm crippled with planning and thinking and strategizing that I don't actually take a step.
Exactly. So, we're not doing when we're just in our heads all the time.
Exactly. And even this podcast is a testament to that, because I was like, okay, let's analyze this. I'm not a presenter. I've never done public speaking. So I literally could do a list of the many things I'm not. But then I'm like, okay, why am I trying to do this? What I want to get message out, right? What is my message? I want to be able to inspire people, to influence people. I want to encourage more people to sobriety. All of these things. I'm like, well, someone's got to tell the story.
Someone's got to do it, Vicky.
Someone's got to do it.
And you are that someone.
Yeah, and it wasn't like I had a guest list or anything. It wasn't like I had anything planned. I was like, okay, you know what? First, step 1, start a podcast around this area. Then the rest of it sort of followed, and we're here today. And thank you so much for believing. Even before this launched, you believed in the vision, you believed in the dream, and you're here today, and I couldn't be more grateful.
Thank you. I think it's amazing work that you're doing, and I got your back. I want to support you.
Well, to be fair, I was going to ask you around, but I think I'll probably keep that in the bag for now, because I know there's some projects that you're working on, and it's kind of like a collective thing with other people, but I think I'll leave it for now. Maybe on the next episode or another episode where we get to speak about it, because I don't want to put you under pressure.
We're
no
still
pressure.
Working on that project.
We're still working on it, and there's so much to do. So I feel tempted to let the cat out of the bag, but I'm like, no, let's wait. It's fine. We'll come back next year and talk about it. Is there any other things that you're working on that you want to tell our audience about, or any sort of plans for the next couple of years, for the future, and for you personally and for the business?
I think it's been a really great year in terms of testing Align events, like what works, what doesn't work. Exactly what you said about going out into the field and just like experimenting and having fun. And so we've really had a lot of like great feedback from the student events.
Aww.
So we're going to be doing like a couple more for the end of this year. Obviously, Christmas is coming up. Everyone's getting prepped for Christmas. And then just moving forwards for next year, 2024, like consolidating on what we've done already.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the other thing about like trial and error, which people shouldn't be afraid to do, is sometimes you go into markets and they're not ready for you, or they're just like not like, you know, you've had amazing success with weddings, but we're struggling with weddings. So it's like,
I'll tell you why, because, well, I might not be right, but this is my thinking, right? Because currently we serve a lot of Afro-Caribbean audience, right? There's that bit of, okay, there's some people who are non-drinking for faith reasons.
yes.
So they're more likely to book you because you're non-alcoholic. And again, they might consider that you might be cheaper because they're like, oh, well, alcohol is a bit more expensive. Oh, well, you know, let's go to the cheaper option.
Yes.
Not that we're always the cheapest, but that's one reason. And the other reason I think we get bookings in that space is for the arrival drinks bits, because some people are like, you know what, I've already bought so much alcohol for the rest of my evening anyway. I've got a lot of, I don't know, wine, whatever it is. I don't want my guests getting
too
early.
Yeah.
So, and it sometimes when we get inquiries, some people don't even realize that we're non-alcoholic. So I'm like, I have to clarify, like, we
Wow.
You know? No, I think because sometimes when people refer, they just go, maybe send them a link on Instagram, they just see a particular video and like, oh yeah, okay, give her a ring.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
And I have to explain that, like, okay, you know what, okay, we'll have you on board, but maybe just do the welcome drinks.
Nice.
And that's fine.
Oh, I like that,
you know,
though.
so I think that kind of helps balance. But of course, we've gotten many no's because, you know, but I always try to clarify on the first point of call that, okay, whatever drinks we're making will be alcohol free. You know, are you fine with that? Are you okay with that? And they might say yes. Sometimes they might say no, and they'll go to someone else, which is fine. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
How have you found, I guess, will I say rejections in that sense? Because with us, so do you find that opportunities come to you more, or you're seeking out for those opportunities?
I think the right opportunities come. So when
they come knocking.
Yeah, the right opportunities come. Like when we've tried to push at an avenue and we've received resistance, it's like, okay, that's not for us right now. Whereas other opportunities, so, you know, we were pushing the wedding market in a particular area, so the Cotswolds, and that's been very difficult just because of the kind of clientele. It's slowly changing, but it's a slow moving one. Whereas the beauty brands came straight to us. The students came straight to us because they already see, right? This is something that I want. This is something that I need. You don't have to. I think it's always about, like, if somebody has got the door closed and you're pushing, just leave it for now, right? True. Don't try and force it. You've got to just go with the flow. Yeah,
true. And I think one thing, obviously, I've learned on the journey is just being okay with rejection, because I think for us, it's like the other day I was kind of doing an analysis in terms of, okay, our inquiries versus the conversion ratio, right?
Yeah.
So we're getting a lot of inquiries, but then, you know, and of course, I'm not saying all of them are because we don't do alcohol.
No,
right?
But there's many reasons.
There are many reasons.
Yeah.
But I think those ones were like, oh, well, okay, I want the pina colada to have the alcohol in it. I want the mojito to have alcohol. I'm like, well, no, you can't.
No, we don't do that.
You know, so it's like, you know, the typical Nigerian answer. They're like, okay, there's so many scenarios I've had. I've even had one where you've set up all your drinks non-alcoholic, and then auntie brings vodka or, you know, whatever spirits. And they're like, okay, can you then help me pour them in the... And I'm like, no, auntie, I can't do that. The most I could do respectfully, okay, I can have your vodka can be there. If people want, they can pour it themselves, but I can't be responsible for pouring the vodka in every single drinks I've made, because if I'm saying my drink is non-alcoholic, the moment I put the vodka in my, you know, whatever it is, Chapman or any non-alcoholic drink I've made, then it compromises that drink.
That's it.
And that's what that drink represents. It's a Sip Geek drink.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's not compromise it. Yeah. But it's been interesting, you know. But anyway, I'm grateful, you know, for all this opportunities, but yeah, there's been some interesting stories. Yeah. Anyways, have you got any final words for our listeners?
I would say if you're interested in what Align events are up to, then you can follow our socials at align_events_, or you can look at our website, which will be undergoing redevelopment. It's www.alignevents.co.uk. And yeah, so just DM or like reach out, because it's really nice to like hear from people and also to hear their journeys as well.
Yeah.
And I do respond to people in a kind of wearing my Alcohol Change UK ambassador hat sometimes if they're like, I need support. So yeah, feel free to reach out.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And thanks for all you do. Thank you once again, Yasmin, for coming. And so guys, it's been an amazing time, and we'll wrap it up here, and we'll just go straight to our rapid fun fire questions. Okay,
let's go.
Let me get my phone out.
So how long do I have? Oh no, you can't think, can you?
No, you just like, yeah. But then I think what I tend to do, and I think with most of the guests, is I'm curious about your answers.
Okay.
Yeah, so I might ask you a question or something or two on the back of your answers.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so first one, no granny or no Jito? No Jito or no granny?
Granny, no granny, no granny.
Okay, that's nice. Why? Are you more like a mature drinker type person?
I like quite like sour flavors and like strong flavors or herbal flavors. I like sweet, but I would prefer that. Like, I don't know, to me it just feels a bit more like grown up in a drink.
I'm more mojito, and on our menu actually we've got an elderflower. To be fair, we'll call it mojito, whatever. But yeah,
we have mojito as well, and because everyone loves mojito, right?
Yeah.
It's such a
it's a safe option.
Yeah.
Still or sparkling?
Sparkling, always.
Still.
Really?
Because I don't get, until today, I don't, like, I could have a sparkling drink, no problem, but I don't get sparkling water. I don't understand it. And I don't know how many times I've had to say this, but I don't. I've tried to like it, but I still don't.
Oh, no, Vicky!
Maybe I could do like sparkling flavored.
Yeah.
A bit. Like,
okay.
Yeah. But like just sparkling. No, thanks. Cardio or weights?
Weights.
Aww.
It's like, okay, when I was, I mean, I haven't worked out for ages, but when I was doing weights, right, my trainer told me that like you can, the amount of burn basically, so after you do a workout you're still burning. Yeah. So I would like work out and then go to McDonald's.
Oh my god. What?
What? He said it was fat burning. You in a fat burning window.
I'm not gonna judge you, but yeah.
So definitely weights.
I think in my ideal self, and following the right guidance and advice, and Dr. Easy, if you're watching this, I know you've always preached weight training to me, but yeah, I'm not there yet. Like, I find it easier to do a run. Yeah, it's just like my lazy thing to do. Yeah, but I feel like weight training, I'm not there yet. But I would love to, because obviously there's all this research and all of these things that supports that, you know, it's important as we get older to maintain our muscle mass. So yeah, but anyway, we'll get into it.
We will. Oh my god, I feel like that's a whole separate topic.
Right?
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. And I think actually I probably need to get Dr. Easy on this show at some point. Kombucha or bubble tea?
Bubble tea. Oh my god, I love bubble tea. Do you like bubble tea?
I do, but I'll do kombucha because I like sour things. Okay. So as much as I like sweet things, I like I don't know, okay, this is a Nigerian thing, right, called pap.
What is it?
Pap is basically, maybe if you have your corn or maize or millet, any of those grains, and it's grinded or blended, however you want to call it, and it's left to ferment.
Oh wow.
You know, you just normally have it in like a bowl or something with some water on top, and then ferment for a number of days, and you scoop out the base, kind of like the the one that settle, kind of like think about your apple cider vinegar, and then you've got like a mother on the bottom.
Yes, yeah.
So you scoop that out and then make it into like a custard.
Oh, wow.
I hope I've explained this well to the
I
Nigerians listening.
Try this.
Yeah, and it has like a bit of a sour feel to it, and the water on top is obviously it's pap water.
Yeah.
It's actually sour. So, and I think similar to this, obviously another Nigerian thing. I'm very Nigerian. Apologies,
I'm loving it. I'm here for it.
Another Nigerian thing that I like is Gary.
Yes,
and Gary is, not the Eba, not like when we've made it into like a
it's the
format,
ice.
no.
You have it with ice. Huh?
Yeah, with just water.
Yeah, I
right?
know that.
And there is Ijebu Gary, which is like the sour variant. So I like things like that. And as much as I'm, I could be a sweet tooth, but I like sour things. So yeah, kombucha for sure.
Okay, so have you had sour sop?
No, funny enough, it's like I see it.
Yeah,
I've just never, obviously, maybe like what's the Asian shops and things, not like in the mainstream shop, but I've never tried it.
Yeah, that's Jamaican. That's my family's Jamaican.
Oh, okay.
So like, if you like sour sop,
yeah,
like if you like sour flavors, that's like a fruit juice.
Yeah, I've seen it. Like there's a shop in
there's
a shop in I don't know, somewhere in Stratford. Like you can buy like exotic fruits and
Yeah.
rare fruits from, and they have things like that. But yeah, I've never tried it. But yeah, I think I'd look out to trying that. Fruity or herbal flavors?
Herbal flavors. I like fruit flavors, but herbal flavors, I think they're more interesting. You can do
Herbal,
more stuff.
more like, are you more tea inclined or more herbal in like your mixers or?
I think both. Like you can make some really beautiful mixes if you combine like apple and rosemary or like pear and thyme. Those kind of, they complement fruit really well. So okay, both. That's my answer. Both.
Right. Fresh juice smoothie.
Fresh juice. Can't
Okay.
beat.
I'm gonna pretend to be like the health advocate here.
Okay.
I'd say fresh juice if it's vegetable juice. More vegetable than, and that's just because of this whole sugar spike when you have a fresh juice. Smoothie because obviously you've got the fiber in it, and then that kind of like slows down the absorption, yeah? Frozen yogurts or ice cream.
If they're vegan, then ice cream, vegan ice cream.
Okay.
Ice cream. I don't like vegan yogurt.
Have you tried like the coconut ones? I think I've tried a few of the coconut ones, and it's not bad.
It's not bad.
I know there's a brand. I feel like I'm naming too many brands here, but yeah.
No, I know which one.
Yeah.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, but it's not bad.
It's
to be honest.
nice, but it's not like what I really, really miss is like Greek yogurt and like just vegan yogurt hasn't got there yet.
Yeah,
It will.
yeah.
I'm sure it will. Just hasn't got there yet.
Oat milk, soy milk?
Oat milk, always.
Same here. All right, that's the end of our rapid questions, and thank you so much for coming once again. And until next time, and this is Bookie out.